we need to race towards ranked choice voting or some other more modern voting system that allows for different points of view to emerge as quickly as possible.
Yeah.
And I personally am a little bit saddened by how everyone is just scared about the spoiler effect, because that's the kind of cudgel that the duopoly uses on everybody, really. It's like, oh, we're going to do something different. You're going to mess it up. You're going to mess it up. It's like, well, okay, in theory, does the Democratic Party not control the levers of government in at least, let's call it half of these areas? Like, if you're genuinely concerned about the spoiler effect, why don't we just change it to ranked choice voting? You control your own elections. You certainly control your own primaries. I mean, but you control like the mechanics, in many of these states. And so that to me is a solutions-oriented approach. Is like, well, you're concerned about the spoiler effect, let's solve for it.
So I guess to some extent it could be used as kind of a threat that you'll run and other people will run and they'll create this spoiler effect, like making the election a bit of a nonsense, unless people go and actually reform the election. So let's go do that.
That's one of my arguments, Rob, is that if I were to just push and be like, hey, you concerned about it? Fix it, then it has a better chance of being fixed than if we're all like, oh, like, no, everyone stand still until they get around to fixing it, which, by the way, they never will.
Yeah, I can see that argument. I guess I would hate to see Trump elected in 2024 as like the implementation of that threat, though. It seems like a very high price to pay to me.
Oh, yeah. So, and this is something that I think people, or at least I hope people sense about me, is that like I'm a rational dude. I'm not going to do something irrational.
Do something really stupid.
Yeah, we've got one cycle to try and make some enormous headway. So if you've got $1 billion and you want to fix American democracy, you genuinely could. The entire investment in this area right now is $153 million.
Yeah.
It's way too low. It's stupid. This is something that I also find frustrating. So to the extent that there's something I can do to help, it should be this. It's like, out of all the money that's getting spent on a lot of things, don't you think preserving American democracy and making it more resistant to authoritarianism is probably worth $1 billion or more? It's probably worth like $100 billion.
Yeah.
It's just that for whatever reason, philanthropists aren't seeing this.